Good morning, all. Welcome to this Sunday of the new chapter I would like to talk about, that is my SIS today. Everyone can hear me without any problems? Could you please confirm that?
Yes, you're audible on that. Thanks.
Thank you. Thank you very much. So last week I was talking about that Cisco Nexus boxes that has been used in the data center networking. And we've been configuring a lot of data center networks using the Cisco Nexus as well as the Arista boxes also. Arista boxes are mostly similar like Cisco Nexus only, but Nexus has got some more functionality than Arista boxes. When we try configuring it, we'll come to know about that. So we've seen about something on how to configure that and what are the commands or the show commands and other things, and what is the licensing patterns, and how do you activate the feature on the Nexus boxes, like many things which we discussed the last week. So this week we are going to discuss about that ISIS protocol, intermediate system to intermediate system. And this is a protocol, it's coming under the OSA layer mode. We can compare that with the OSPF. OSPF comes in the TCP/IP model, and it can fit into the OSA model, but frankly speaking about that means like plainly for that, ISIS is based on the OSA protocols, OSA protocol layer, you can just say. And it is an again no, like we can implement this ISIS in any branded network, it is possible. Cisco, Juniper, Arista, or any boxes we can configure the ISIS. ISIS, where it is being used and what is the fundamentals of that, what are the configuration commands we just need to enter it, how it is the architecture goes on, where this ISIS protocol has been utilized, and which are all the networks will be using this ISIS protocol, how long it can be, like, what could be the scalable things, and how do we compare this ISIS protocol with an OSPF. Why people not talking about the ISIS so heavily? They talk about only the OSPF always. And what are the differences between the OSPF and ISIS? And a little bit of lab also, I would like to show you that there is two areas which I configured on a JNS3. JNS3 is a simulator. In that simulator, we can configure that ISIS also. In the Cisco routers, we just configured that. I'll show you that how to configure two areas and how do we verifying that areas, like how does it works out, whether it works with an IP addresses or any other addressing scheme. We just need to work out with that. And how do we see the show command outputs on that ISIS protocols, and what are the commands are there in ISIS to get configured, verifications and debugging and troubleshooting. So these are all like a brief introduction I would like to give it to you about the ISIS. ISIS, you just see very easy to configure rather than OSPF. We have ISIS is very easy to configure that and very easy to monitor and maintain that also. And only problem is that it is not much scalable like OSPF. It cannot go beyond certain limit or something. That is the only problem with it. But many of the ISP networks, ISP internal networks are using the ISIS protocol. That's why it is not so common to the general public or normal engineers or something like that, because people who are working with the ISP networks inside, internet service provider network inside, they will be utilizing these ISIS protocols. And it's very easy to configure. It can integrate any other protocols as well. It's a routing protocol, we can take it as. And it will be creating some areas wise, as we can compare it with the OSPF. It will creating some areas, and it can have some L1, L2, and L1, L2 routers, means layer 1. You can say layer 1, level 1, and level 2 routers. The routers can be participating in a L2 network as well as L1 layer network, like that. It can configure L1, L2. So L2 in the sense it is going to talk to some other areas or something other, you can just say. L1 is going to talk to the same area or something. So many, the resemblances will be there with the OSPF when it is compared with the ISIS protocol. But ISIS protocol comes under the different family of it. It doesn't go along with the TCP/IP family or something. It belongs to the OSI layer model, ISIS. Configuration is very simple. We just activate that in the Cisco router ISIS, then we'll start configuring the network statement commands. Then we will be applying that every other interfaces with the ISIS, router ISIS, the command like that, which goes on. And it will be creating the areas, it will be working like an L1, L2 routers, and it can be, like it can give some lot of outputs so that we can go and verify how the operations are done on that. Like ISIS, as I told you, it's a internet service provider internal network concept which has been there. It doesn't have much complications as the OSPF. That's what I would like to say. And along with an ISIS, some other protocols are there. It's involved in configuring the ISIS that we will be seeing in the coming up slides on this. So I've been working on this ISIS for whatever it may be the network which you are handling on this. Some of the ISPs are still using the ISIS protocol for their internal network integrations. And many of them has been, many of them have been switched themselves to the OSPF and they started working on that because OSPF is for highly scalable networks and it can go for any limit. There is no limit as such for that. But ISIS got some limitations about the, the scalability and other things. So how to configure the ISIS? What are the characteristics of ISIS? How the addressing scheme has been there? What are the addressing scheme, like how many routers we can integrate to the ISIS? What could be creating? How do we create an area wise like that? And how to configure the L1 routers and L2 routers and a router which can perform the both functions like L1 and L2. Which router has to be placed on which the edge or core or like the routers or something like which is the internal router or external router or something, which we normally talk about that in the OSPF, like autonomous system boundary router and the area border router, like that. We can call it as area border router. I can just say L1, L2 router is called as an area border router. L1 router means it will be like an internal router. I can compare it with that. And what is the significance is that both are utilizing the same routing algorithm. Algorithm in the sense like the Dijkstra algorithm, which is being used for ISIS also, as well as the OSPF also. So once the algorithm has been the same, so but only problem is that the scalability is not there. Since the algorithm is the same, it is going to be configuring, it is going to be get configured, it is going to, like running its own algorithm to find out the best possible routes, suboptimal routes, standby routes and active routes, and the metric calculation which has been done on that. So more or similar things because the protocol which has been using the same algorithm as well, like it's using the Dijkstra algorithm only. The person who invented that, the name has been given as a Dijkstra algorithm for it. So the same similar algorithm which we are using on this routers and this protocol also. So you will be finding a lot of similarities while configuring the ISIS along with an OSPF. The person who works on OSPF can easily understand this ISIS, how does it working, because the way the metric is being calculated, the way the packets which are getting transferred between them, and the addressing pattern as well, and the area as another things, area border router, some other thing. Many we can even do that load balancing, another thing like normal any other routing protocol will be doing the load balancing, equal cost load balancing, and non-equal cost load balancing, and other things which we can do on this. So ISIS is still there, it is still alive, and many of the ISPs are still using their ISIS in their network. I seen in somewhere in AT&T or Sprint, some people are using an ISIS in US networks. And most of them are, like converted them into the OSPF side on this. So now we will see, we will see that. We'll go to the slides one by one, so you'll be able to see that. I'll just running with the slides now. Then at the end of this session, we will be seeing some small lab which I created on GNS3 using the Cisco routers. We'll show you that how to configure that ISIS on this. Let me make it bigger. Let's go here. Introduction to ISIS. What is ISIS? Intermediate system to intermediate system. IS is an ISO terminology for a router, intermediate system. ISIS were originally designed for use as a dynamic routing protocol for ISO CLNP, defined in the ISO this standard something. Somebody is pinging. Cisco based only for other routers. It is based on other routers as well. We can configure ISIS on any other routers. It's possible. Juniper I can configure, Arista I can configure. Any routers I can configure. It is not a Cisco proprietary or something. It is an open standard. Like how we do it on OSPF. Okay, Raj has asked that question. Okay, anyway, nice. So later adopted to carry the IP prefixes in addition to CLNP. that is integrated dual ISIS as described in this RFC. RFC means it is a request for comments. You can see that internet IDs and other things in RFC in the ietf.org sites. And predominantly used in the ISP environment. That's what I would like to tell you that, because it is not for the client side network, it is used for only the ISP environment, because the way it is getting configured, the way it is getting integrated with the multiple clients, that we may have to utilize this on the ISP environment. Next, ISIS. ISIS network is a single autonomous system, also called as routing domain, that consists of end systems and intermediate systems. End systems are network entities that send and receive the packets. Intermediate systems used to send and receive packets and relay the packets, means of forwarding the packets. Intermediate system is the open standard integration term for a router, I can just say. And ISO packets are called as network PDUs. PDUs means protocol data units. So there are two things which we need to understand. One is a CLNS, another one is an NSAP. CLNS in the sense connectionless mode network service is an OSI network layer datagram service that does not require a circuit to be established before the data is transmitted, and routes messages to their destinations independently of any other messages. Means we don't require kind of, what do you say, the TCP is using kind of SYN acknowledges, something like that. It will be going on all reliable transmissions like that. Actually, this ISIS doesn't look for any kind of, that's why it is called as a connectionless mode. CLNS, connectionless mode network service. And NSAP is nothing but an addressing pattern. Network service access point address, NSAP address, defined in ISO IEC like this, is an identifying label for service access point used in OSI network. This SAP is different, okay? This is not a normal SAP we listen from the cloud or something, not that SAP. This is a service access point, it is called as. So this comes in the part of addressing scheme in the ISIS protocol. So ISIS is nothing but like single autonomous protocol which talks between the routers. They are called as intermediate systems, and it is using that connectionless mode network service and using the network services access point address. Next, what are the ISIS packets are there? So we have some lot of packets in the OSPF when we talk about the LS, means a link state update, link state request, link state acknowledgement. Many other packets are there in the hello packets and other things are there. DVD, there is a database description packet, something. Like comparatively with the OSPF, what all the packets are there in the ISIS? Each ISIS PDU shares a common header. And ISIS uses the following PDUs to exchange protocol information. ISIS hello PDUs, IIH, broadcast to discover the identity of neighboring ISIS systems and to determine whether the neighbors are level 1 or level 2 intermediate systems, means routers. Then the second one, link state PDUs. ISIS is a link state protocol. Link state PDUs contain the information about the state of adjacencies to neighboring ISIS systems. Link state PDUs are flooded periodically throughout an area. Periodically. It has got its own way of timings and other things. Complete sequence number PDUs, CSNP, contain a complete list of all link state PDUs in the ISIS database. CSNPs are sent periodically on all links, and the receiving systems use information on the CSNP to update and synchronize their link state PDU databases. Partial sequence number, that is a PDU, another PDU. Sent multicast by a receiver, it detects that a missing link PDU when it states that the PDU database is out of date. If you'd like to get some kind of update or something other, you'll be sending the partial sequence. Then it will be sending the fully complete sequence numbers. So there are 4 packets of this. One is an hello, one is a link state by PDU, another one is a CSNP, the last one is a partial MP. So these are all the packets which we will be able to identify and find inside the ISIS network. When we run the debug commands, we can able to identify that what sort of packets are getting exchanged by the ISIS routers. Next, intermediate system to intermediate system, the same thing, specifies OSI ISIS routing protocol for CLNS traffic, connectionless network service. A link state protocol with the level 2 level, with the second level, 2 level hierarchical architecture. Type length value options to enhance the protocol. It is added the IP support. integrated ISIS. ISIS runs on top of the data link layer. Okay, integrated ISIS, it is running on top of the data link layer. I can just say data link layer top in the sense what, like somewhere in 3 and 2 like that. You see that? Let's go to the next. Known as a link state routing protocol, the other link state routing protocol is OSPF. That everyone knows that. Each node in the network computes a map of connectivity through the network. The other type of network routing protocol is a distance vector. You know that already. There are 3 type of networking protocols over there. One is a distance vector. One is a distance vector. Another one is a link state. The last one is a hybrid. Hybrid is like it's a EIGRP one. So no need to worry about that. You know, like because open standard, when we talk about that, we have only 2. One is a link state. Another one is a distance vector. Distance vector, we don't use it at all because it doesn't have the scalability, doesn't go beyond the 16 or 100 hop or something. So this is a link state protocol, means ISIS is a link state protocol. Each node shares its view of routing table with other nodes. It's not in that way. Okay, this is working in that way. But here you just see each node in the network computes the map of connectivity through the network. It's not that the entire update has been sent on this like that. So there is a difference between link state and the normal DV, distance vector routing protocols. Next, okay, jumped. So routers with ISIS enabled on them, look for a neighboring routers also running the ISIS. Means a neighbor also has to be running the same protocol so that they will form the ISIS neighborship, CLNS neighbors. The hello packet includes a list of known neighbors and details such as hello interval and router dead interval. Dead interval and hello interval. Normally we do it the same way. We can find it in the OSPF also. By mentioning this hello interval and dead interval, we can identify that whether the neighbor is still running up and live or maybe down. Hello interval, how often the router will send the hellos. Dead interval, how long the router need to wait before deciding the router has disappeared, means neighbor. The values of hello and dead interval must match on the neighboring router so that they will form the ISIS neighbor. The last, when a neighboring router responds with matching details, neighbor relationship is formed. What are the criteria to become a neighbor for an ISIS? We require this timer should match hello and dead interval. And when they are matching and their IP addresses and other things, when they are matching accordingly, they will form the neighbor relationship, like a hello protocol. You can just. Next, what is the similarities between the ISIS and OSPF? Both are interior gateway routing protocols. Interior gateway routing protocol in the sense they will be working within an autonomous system only. They are not supposed to route the packet from one autonomous system to the another autonomous system. Means like a BGP, which does that. Only the BGP is a protocol which is an exterior gateway protocol. But in our case, ISIS and OSPF are interior gateway protocol. They are called as an IGP. They distribute the routing information between the routers belonging to single autonomous system. With support for classless interdomain routing, that is a CADR values, VLSM, that is a variable subnet length masking, authentication supported, multipath is supported, IP unnumbered link, which we will be using it with loopback addresses and other things, which will do that. So these are all supported, means like a similarities we are seeing between the ISIS and OSPF. They work in the same way because that's why I said that Dijkstra is algorithm which we are using there. So they work in both same way. Classless interdomains routing is supported. VLSM masking is supported. Authentication, multipathing, non-numbered link, everything is been supported on both the routing protocols. ISIS and OSPF terminology. This is like a similarities we are seeing now. How it has been called in OSPF and how it has been called in ISIS. In OSPF, we call it as a routers as a host. Here in ISIS, we'll call it as an end system. OSPF it is called as a router. Here it is called as an intermediate system. And OSPF it is called as a link. Here we call it as a circuit. OSPF it is called as packet. Here it is called as packet protocol data unit. Designated router, designated IS. Backup DR, here not available. BDIS is used. No BDIS here. There is only master can exist. The link state advertisements, here it is called as a link state PDUs, LSP. Hello packets, IIH PDU, that is nothing but ISIS hello protocol something. Database description packets, here we'll say that complete sequence number packet, CSNP. So similarity are there, but only the terms are, completely here and there, it's a different. And it is continuing on the next slide. OSPF, we call it as like an area. Here it is called like a subdomain, that is called as an area. Non-backbone area is nothing but level 1 area. Backbone area is nothing but level 2 subdomain. It's a backbone area. Area border router is L1, L2 router. Autonomous boundary router is any IS, means either it can be L1 router can become an ASVR or L2 router can become an ASVR, it's possible. Any IS. Area border router is nothing but L1, L2 router. Only L1, L2 means it will be doing both the functions, level 1 and level 2. So this is the similarities and terminologies we see between the ISIS and the OSPF. We'll see some more. How the transport has been done in OSPF. OSPF uses the IP protocol 89 as transport. It's using the TCP protocol, but it's using its own protocol number as an 89. Here it goes like data link header, IP header, OSPF data. How the ISIS directly encapsulated to the L2. Data link layer header, ISIS header, and ISIS data. So it is actually, we are not looking for any kind of reliable data centers, data transfers and all we are not looking for, because we are directly embedding everything, encapsulating everything into the layer 2 itself. Okay, so let's go to the next slide. For service providers, which IGP should an ISP choose? Means either they will be choosing the OSPF or they will be choosing this ISIS. Both OSPF and ISIS use the Dijkstra SPF algorithm. SPF means shortest path first. Exhibit same convergence properties. ISIS less widely implemented on router platforms. ISIS runs on data link layer. OSPF runs in IP layer. It's a layer 3, this is a layer 2. Biggest ISPs tend to use ISIS. Main ISIS implementations more tunable than equivalent to OSPF implementation. That's what I said. It's very simpler to tune it up according to our own standards. OSPF requires a very heavier configurations as well. It has to do some reliable transmissions and other things. Next, how to choose an IGP for your ISP network like OSPF. Rigid area design. All network must have area 0 core with the sub areas distributed around. Suits ISPs with the central high-speed core network linking regional POPs, point of presence. Teaches good routing protocol design practices. What is ISIS is doing? Relaxed 2-level design. L2 routers must link through the backbone. Suits ISP with the stingy networks, diverse infrastructure, etc., not fitting the central core model of OSPF. More flexible than OSPF, but easier to make mistakes too. Mistakes comes by the manual error, okay, human error. Okay, anyway, if you would like to choose either it is an OSPF or ISIS, there is a comparing things has been discussed. The comparing points has been discussed over here. Next, other considerations. ISIS runs on link layer, not possible to attack the IGP using IP as with OSPF. ISIS NSAP addressing scheme avoids the dependencies on IP as with OSPF. Because biggest ISPs use the ISIS, it tends to get new optimization features before OSPF does. Yes. OSPF is used in some client networks also when they would like to go for a huge network or something. But ISIS is very strictly used in your ISPs networks only. And because biggest ISPs are using the ISIS, it tends to get new optimization features before OSPF does. Next, routers with ISIS enabled on them, look for neighboring routers also running ISIS. I guess we've seen this already, it's repeating. Okay, we've seen that already, because how does it become like hello interval, dead interval, and other things has to match. Now the neighbor relationships. A relationship is formed between neighboring routers for the purpose of exchanging routing information. This is called as an adjacency. The same name we call it as an OSPF also, it is called as an ADG. Adjacency we say. ISIS adjacencies. Once an adjacency is formed, neighbors share their link state information. Information goes in a link state PDU, LSP. LSPs are flooded to all the neighbors. A new information received from the neighbors is used to compute a new view of network, like a map it is creating. On a link failure, new LSPs are flooded, the routers recompute the routing table. It's all similar, like how the OSPF has been doing that. Only incremental updates are done. When incremental updates are done every 30 minutes in OSPF, all the people will be like, when there is no updates as such, 30 minutes, like there is a updating frequency for a normal OSPF routers, we can even adjust that. So here it is like an on-link failure, new LSPs are flooded, and the routers will be recomputing the routing table as such. Similar concept as the OSPF. Let's go to the next slide. ISIS across the network. All routers across the network form neighbor relationship with their directly attached neighbors. It should be directly attached. Then only they will form like. Physical connection is required for them. And then each router computes the routing table on its own. Each router has the same view of network. The network is called converged, definitely. IGP design for a network is crucially important to ensure scalability and rapid convergence. Generally, the fewer the prefixes, the faster the convergence. Definitely, this is applicable for any network, because once we have only 10 or 15 network or something like that, it's easy for us to go with that convergence model like that. So fewer the network, very easy convergence. If it is a very heavy network, in the sense, it will take a lot of time for it to convergence. Convergence in the sense, when there is a change has been done or there is a link failure has been happened, all the ISIs running routers should be aware of that change which has been happened on the network, and they should be recomputing their own routing table and reaching to the neighbors and informing them as well. And everybody is in the same page, it's called as a convergence. So that's why whenever there is a convergence, a faster convergence in the sense, when we look for a fewer routing table entries, in the sense, we'll have a good convergence. But ISI is not used for like smaller networks and all. It is used for so huge network. Anyway, they are just saying about the characteristics of this. Next, ISIS levels. ISIS has got 2-layer hierarchy. Level 2 is a backbone. Level 1 is the edge. Backbone router and edge router. A router can be L1 router, L2 router, or L1, L2 router. Both functions can be done on that. Most small to medium network up to 400 routers can happily exist in level 2. This is maybe like a design consideration. When you go for how many routers I can keep it in a level 2 backbone, you can just say negligibly 400, means like more or less equivalent to the 400 routers we can keep it in level 2. For level 1, there is no criteria for to keep the row. It can grow and like anything. Next, ISIS levels. What is the level 1 router? Has neighbors only on the same area. Has level 1 LSDB, link state database, with all routing information for the area. It's like an internal router you can call. This is an IR concept equivalent to the OSPF. Level 2 router may have neighbors in the same or other areas. That is nothing but an ABR. Area border router we say. Has level 2 LSDB with all routing information about the inter area also. Same ASBR will be containing about the all participating areas as well. Level 1-2 router may have neighbors in any area, has 2 separate LSDBs, link state databases. For level 1, it will be completely different LSDB. For level 2, there is a different LSDB. So these routers are like a level 1-2 routers. They will be maintaining 2 different LSDB tables. But a level 2 router will be combining like all the level 2 other things and other things. They'll be having the same LSDB. Level 1 router has only one level 1 LSDB on this one. So this is about the ISIS levels has been configured on this. What do they contain? What is their topological table or map or like a databases? When you just try to see that, these are all the information you can find it out from the level 1 router, level 2 router, and level 1-2 router. Backbone and areas. ISIS do not have backbone area as such. OSPF. There is no backbone area as such. No backbone area. Instead, backbone is a contiguous collection of level 2 capable routers. ISIS area borders on links, not routers. It's based on links only, not on routers. Each router is identified with a network entity titled net. Net is an NSAP where the N selector is a 0. This is some other configuration parameter it comes. So backbone as of there is no backbone in ISIS. Okay, like in OSPF. But L2 capable routers will have a contiguous collection of, like instead of backbone, they will be having it. area borders are on the links, not on the routers, like comparatively with the OSPF, like that. This is how the L1, L2 routers will be looking like. You see that L1, L2, then L1, L2. See, L1, L2 is connecting to the another area. You see that? And here L1, L2 is connecting to the another area, like this. L1 only, L1, L2, L1, L2, L1 only, like that. So this is an area 2, this is area 1, and this is area 4, this is area 3, like that. So this is L2 router only, this is L1 only. Like we can configure anything like mostly if you are trying to cross that area in the sense, you can configure that L1 L2. So that will be containing the all the area wise links to databases. It will be combining that. It will be keeping that. Next, links in ISIS. Two types of links in ISIS: point-to-point link and multi-access network. We have so many things is discussed in the OSPF. We are not going to that level. We are just discussing about the how ISIS has been keeping the two links, two type of links. One is a point-to-point link. Only one other router on the same link forming a point-to-point link. One other router means like one-on-one connection is called as like a point-to-point link. Multi-access, potential for many other routers on the network with several other adjacencies. So this is quite common. And ISIS is a multi-access network, has optimization to aid scaling. Scaling means growing. One router is elected to originate the LSPs for the whole multi-access network called Designated Information System, DIS. It's nothing but like our DR in OSPF. Or it's a designated router we call. Other routers on the multi-access network form adjacencies with the DIS. So they will receive the information from the DIS router. So more similarities of that. Now let's go to selecting the designated router. Same, we will be doing it like a priority. IP OSPF priority will be calling it, configuring it in the OSPF. The same way we'll do it on per interface based. We'll configure the priority. Configure high priority on the router to be the DIS, high priority. When the priority number is higher, there is a better chance of that router becoming a DIS, means a DR router. Else priority determined by the highest MAC address. There is no IP address concept here. It's a MAC address that is taken. Best practice is to set two routers to be the highest priority. Then in the case of failure of the DIS, there is a deterministic fallback to the router. Actually, there is no BDR concept here. What do we do normally for this to have that backup and other things to work? We will keep two routers on a highest priority. 127, 128, something like that will configure. So they will be having that. There won't be any complete failure of your entire network for that, because every other L1 routers are getting the database information from the DIS routers only, means designated routers only, like this. So this is a MAC, there is a MAC address, this is a MAC address. So whenever it is mean this is a DIS. We configure it with the 127 as a level 2, like this. So let's go to the next slide. Addressing common practices. How the ISIS addressing are done. It is not like the normal IP addressing which we can go for, but still IP addresses are required to get configured on the interface level, so that it can participate, it can work with an IP integration can be done with an ISIS. Anyway, ISIS works on a layer 2 or between the layer 3 and layer 2, but integrating to the ISP IP has been done. So we would like to know that what is an NSIP addresses. First 8 bits are pick any number, usually 49. Next 16 bits are representing that area. Next 48 bits are router loopback address. Final 8 bits are 0. It's like this. 49 has been selected. 0001, 192, 168, 001, 001. It's taken. Router loopback is in the area 1. So for better understanding, there is another slide is there. I'll show you. Addressing scheme. Under the ISIS router config, the net is formed like this. Totally 80 bits. Net means network address we are going to configure. 49, 0123. 49 is the default 8 bits. 0123 area. This specified by us. We can configure any number in the area. All routers within the same area will have the same number. That is a 16 bits. Then 2 times zeros are coming, 4 times. There can be any number specified by us. It is a 32 bits. This is 16 bit and this is 16, so 32 bit. Then the last one, this 2 is nothing but informing this particular node where we are configuring, you see, for example, router 1, router 2, router 3, they are connected to each other. So router 1, router 2, router 3. You can take this. This is configured on router 2. Router number has been defined here. This is a router 2 in the ISIS network, like that. When I configuring this, I will configure router 3. I will configure router 1. Like that I'll do. The number I'll make it as a router 1. So last 0 is a default. So to easily remember that, you can just see 49, then the area code, then you can omit all these things. The last one you can keep it as like a router identifier. The last 00s you can omit. Like this, you can easily understand this, the addressing format in the ISIS. This is not an IP address. This is not IP address. IP address is different. This is an NSAP address. It's called NSAP. Okay, NSAP addresses. So this address need to get configured under the router ISIS process. Router ISIS, then we'll say NET. So this area and other things has to be common in the all the routers which are participating in the same area, like that. So this only this will get differentiated, so that it will be identifying the which router is sending the updates, which router is looking for the updates. Like. So it is very simple, maybe like looking so very awkward, but it is very easy to configure. Once you configure that, you will understand that. Next. Addressing example, you see that area 2, area 1, area 4, area 3. 1, 2, 3, 4. This is the areas here. Here it is a 49, like that. 444, 333. This is 666, 666. This is a different area. You see that F01, F0, F01, like that you can take. But here there is a change in that. 002. This is 001. Something like that it has been changed. This is 003. This is 004. It's specifying about the area code. And the last one is nothing but our identifying of the node. Means this router. It's an 888. This is 777. This is 7. This is 8. And this is 6. And this is something it's not configured. Here you can just say 4. And this is 3. Router node IP, router node address handling. And this is 1. And this is 1. Sorry, this is 2. This is 1. Like that. So you see the 49 is common for all. Everywhere there is a 49, and the second is also the same one. We did the subnetting like that 2, and everyone is sharing the 2 here. Here it is everyone is sharing the 1 here. Like that it goes. So easy to understand that NSAP addressings. Next, how the configuration has been done. So you take it as this is an area 1. The center we have the area 1. There are 3 routers, router A, B, and C. And area 2, one router is there. Area 3, another router is there. L1, L2, L1, L2. By default, Cisco routers will be L1, L2, even if you don't configure. By default, they will become L1, L2 routers. Means they work like an L1 router also, L2 router also. Routers can be manually configured to behave level 1 only, level 2 only, level 1 and 2. Like that. This is what most ISPs do. Configurations can be done per interface or at the router level. We can configure that. Either 3 ways we can configure that. L1, L2, L1, L2. By default, L1, L2 only in the Cisco. Else we would like to modify, we can definitely modify anytime. Next, ISIS on Cisco IOS. Starting the ISIS process in the Cisco IOS like this, router ISIS, there is a process ID has to be given. You can combine it with the alphanumeric number. Okay, that will be identifying that. ISIS process ID is unique to the router, local to the router. It doesn't need to be same on the other routers also, not required. Gives the possibility of running multiple instances of ISIS on one router. Process ID is not passed between the routers in an AS. They are not exchanged. Some ISPs configure the same process ID as the BGP autonomous system number. So easily identify that. That depends on the manual configuration, how they do it. So process ID is like a local identification only. It doesn't need to get passed on to another router to be forming the neighbor or something. Like the EHRP which we do, something like that. Next, ISIS in Cisco. So we can configure this one. Cisco IOS default is for all routers L1, L2. This is suboptimal. All routers need to be L2 only. Once ISIS is started, other required configuration under the ISIS process includes capture the adjacency changes in the system log, that is log adjacency changes, set the metric style to the wide, and set ISP level to 2 only, level 2 only, router wide configurations. Set net address, that we need to configure. Net address has to be configured. under the ISIS process. Next, adding the interfaces to the ISIS means we will go to the each and every interface and we will start the ISIS protocol in that. So to activate ISIS on an interface pass, power over SONET something, IP router, ISIS, AS42, this number should be within the same router, it should be the same. For all the interfaces, it should be the same. Puts interface subnet address as an LSDB, enable the CLNS on the interface. CLNS means connectionless network. To disable the ISIS on any interface, we say passive interface, that we know that normally we configure. Disable CLNS on that interface, puts an interface subnet address into the LSDB. No ISIS configuration for an interface. No CLNS run on interface, no interface subnet in the LSDB. When you just remove it, everything will be removed from that. That's what they say. How to activate that? We just go and say IP router ISIS and the process ID. That's it. ISIS interface cost. How the cost is calculated? All the interfaces have default metric of 10. We have a formula in OSPF to calculate that. Here it is like a default of 10. Fine for uniform network, but most backbones have different link capacities between routers and POPs. Many operators develop their own interface metric strategy. ISIS metric 100, level 2. Sets the metric to 100. Care needed as a sum of metrics determines the best path through the network. ISIS chooses the lowest cost path through the network. ISIS will load balance over the path with equal cost to the same destination. They can do that. So this is how I will be configuring the OSPF cost like that. We configure OSPF cost. Here we say ISIS metric. Next, ISIS metric calculation. Best path. What is the best path? Here it is a 5 Mbps, here is a 2 Mbps. And this is a 10 Mbps, this is a 2 Mbps. So lowest cost is 11. You see that? This is 15 will come. Here 11 will come. So this path will be chosen. Lowest. Equal cost path in the sense, you see that 5 plus 10, 15. 14 plus 1, 15. So both are 15 only. The metric is 15 only. So it will be doing the equal cost load balance. It will be using both the links to send the traffic. But in this case, it will be using the downlink only because the downlink is having the lowest cost. Okay, and the next features, other features. We can have default information originate, which will originate a default route into the ISIS LSDB. If the default route exists in RIB, RIB means routing information base. ISIS on point-to-point internet. DIS selection is not loaded on a point-to-point link, so it is disabled, which is more efficient. Interface fast Ethernet 0/2, ISIS network point-to-point, like this will do. And handling the IPv6 also can be configured to the ISIS. We can do that. IPv6 router, we'll add this IPv6 router ISIS like this. Topology, single topology, nothing else is required. For multi-topology, include this multi-topology. So we can have ISIS can be configured for v4 also, IPv4 also, as well as IPv6 also possible. Next, what are the design issues are there with the ISIS? When we go with the ISIS protocol to choose it, to configure it for our ISP network. As in all IP network designs, the key issues is the addressing layout. ISIS supports large number of routers in a single area. When using areas, use a summary address. Less than 400 routers in the backbone is quite doable. Less than or equivalent? No, it is greater than. Greater than 400 routers is in the backbone, it is possible. Possible link cost, default is for 10 only. Compare with the OSPF cost according to the link bandwidth. Manually configured according to the routing strategy. Summary address cost, equal to the best route, best to more specific cost, put plus cost to reach the neighbor of best specific. Backbone has to be contiguous. Contiguous means it should be contiguous. It should be continuous. A continuously connection has to be there. Ensure the continuity by the redundancy. Area partitioning. Design so that backbone cannot be partitioned. Don't make it in that way. This is the design considerations which we talk about. And next to the scaling issues. Areas versus single area. Use areas where suboptimal routing is not an issue. Areas with one single point exit. Start with L2 only everywhere is a good choice. Future implementations of L1 routers will be easier. Backbone continuity is ensured from the start. So this is the scaling issues are discussed here. use the areas where areas with the one single entity exit point or something. Use always an L2 router by starting that, so it's easy for us to configure like that. So backbone continuity will be from the start. Yes, we come to the end of that. Yes, as usual, I have shown my contact address and the phone numbers and other things. You can send an email and you can talk to me about how ISAS is working on this. If you'd like to have some trainings on, because this ISAS has been, the protocol has been kept in the NCORE. There is a new CCNP level exam is there. We just need to read this. We just need to study that. ISAS need to be get configured on these routers. So when you take the CCNP level, specialist level exams, you require to go through this ISIS protocols. So, and if you have any queries on this ISIS configurations and other things, I can definitely show you a small lab now. And you can go to my YouTube to see all the videos which I already posted on that. And you can inform your friends and relatives, colleagues to see my videos on the YouTube. And you can subscribe to that, the channel. So you will be getting only the technical information from the channel. So I've been talking about the cloud integrations, firewall configurations, FI load balancer configurations, networks, like everything we'll be doing on firewalling and all, everything I'm doing that. So if you look for any kind of a training or something on any platform, cloud, I work on AWS, Azure, and Google Cloud as well. So every other information I can able to give it to you, like, so you can start talking to me when you are looking for a training or something. Let me go back to the JNS3. Let me start the JNS3. Okay. Let me start the JNS3 so that we will have a small lab on ISAs. I can just show you. I'm starting the JNS3. It may take some time. Please wait. So ISIS is a protocol only. That's nothing more. Just need to configure by the hands-on. If it just do a lot of things, you will have the ISIS comes in handy. Not a big issue at all. But when you try to implement it for a, implement it for an ISP or something, you just need to work out heavily to run the debug commands. What is it happening? How the commands are, behaving on the particular routers. How to configure it in the OSPF routers. How to configure it in the Cisco routers, Arista routers, and everything. So ISIS is an open standard. We can configure anywhere. Addressing pattern need to be understood properly so that you can configure the ISIS clearly. And it can work along with an IPv4 as well as IPv6 also. It doesn't have any criteria like that. It can work only on certain branded routers or something. It's an open standard protocol and mostly used in ISPs only. When you come to that specialist level, not in a CCNA level, it is not discussed at all. ISIS is not discussed. CCNP level, when you come to that, you need to learn the ISIS, OSPF, and BGP extensively so that you can able to clear those exams and you can pursue yourself to go for a CCIE level exams. Okay, now it is getting started. Let me please wait for 2 minutes. Maybe like, yeah, it is now started. Now let me start that ISIS. Yeah, Excel. Now it is loading my topology. Yeah, this is what they would like to show you this. Yeah. So this is area 456 and this is an area 456 I configured. This is area 123 I configured. Just I took it like router 1, router 2, router 3. So 0, 1, 2, 3, router 4, router 5, router 6. So 456. And this is ISIS circuit level 2 only I configured. This is all level 1, level 1, level 1, L1 and L1. And this is an L2 only. This is sitting in the connectivity between the two different areas. So I configured as an L2. And here it is an L1. So this router is an L1 and L2 actually. L1, L2. This is because it is talking to the L1 routers also. Okay, sorry, it is an L1. L1 routers also, as well as it is talking to the L1, L2 because it is talking to the different areas as well. So it is a simpler one. I just configured it. Let me start all the routers. Then we will see what are the commands has been entered and how does it been getting configured on this. We will see that. You may have to wait for a couple of minutes. then we'll be seeing that it's a double area, means like 2 areas I configured. We can have multi-area also, we can configure it, it's possible. Multiple areas to configure. And there is no criteria like that area 0 has to be configured or something on this one. It'll work out on automatically. Let me take the console of R1. Coming up. And the R4, let me take. Oh, sitting in the backbone. R1, okay. Coming up. JNS3 is a free platform. We can try out everything. And moreover, the iOS, we can get it out from the internet. It can be used only for the educational purposes. So without a JNS3 or something, we will not be able to understand the protocols, how does it been configured in a higher level. And we may have to run the debugs and all to know about all these things. Now it's getting started, please wait. R1, come on. So the configuration wise, I just done it like this, show running. So area 123 has been configured. A loopback address, a loopback interface has to be configured. 111 I configured because in R1. And this 101411 that is connecting to the router 4. So I configured like a 1014. And the fast Ethernet 1/0 and the fast Ethernet 1/1, they are talking to the backend. In the same area, they are talking to the same you see that? Area 0123, area 0123, something like this. And the ISIS configuration has been here. This is a network number I configured. Area 0123, that is a process ID which I given on this. And the network number I configured 49.0123, all zeros. I made it because this is a router 1, I configured as a 1. Let me show you the same configuration on R4. So here also I created the loopback addresses 444 because it's a router 4. Area is a 456. That's what I configured. Same thing for 1014.12. This is connecting to the router 1 on the backbone. And this is connecting to the internal 10 and 11. See, 10 and 11 is connecting to the internal. And we have configured that ISIS here. ISIS area 456, net 456, something like that, 4. I given the net ID, router ID as a 4. Like this. So if you like to see the section only, just see it like this. Show run, include router ISIS. Section I do. This is a one, and every other interface, whichever it is participating interface, need to be configured with the IP router ISIS command. So I'd like to show you that show IP. It shows that you see that L1, L2, L2, L1, L1, L2, L2. L1, L2 is nothing but like, see, you can see here. L1 is an L1 ISIS level 1. L2 is an ISIS level 2. IA means inter area. Either it will be coming up. So you can see I is nothing but an ISIS. So 111, 222, 333, 444, everything has been there here. I can show you that show ISIS neighbor. It's a R1 is an L2 neighbor. Its address is a 1014.11. What is the status is up? Now whole time is this, circuit ID is this. R5 and R6. R5 and R6 are L1 routers because I configured as an L1 routers and their IP addresses are shown on this. We can even check that show CLNS neighbor. Possible. When we seeing the CLNS neighbor means a connectionless networking, it will show the MAC address of the interfaces. R1 fast Ethernet MAC address, whole time something like that. Protocol is ISIS is coming. Same thing for R5 and R6. R5 and R6 are in the same area as the R4 is residing. Like this, I can run the same command in R1 also. Show ISIS neighbor. All directly connected neighbors are shown. They see that. R2 is directly connected. It's connecting. R2 is connecting. R3 is connecting. R4 is connecting. Directly connected neighbors are shown. Then I can check show CLNS. It's showing that. With the MAC address, it will show that. And then show IP route, I can check. Same, we will be seeing all the routes as well. L1, 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 L2. If I go to the leaf routers, means like R5, let me show you R5. R5 has come. Because it is a leaf router, it is an L1 router. Show running section router SAS. It shows. So here I configured like 456 is the area which is participating. Router number is 5. When I see the ISIS neighbor here, it shows the R4 only because there is no direct connection between these R4, R5 and R6. R5 is connecting to R4, R6 is connecting to R4. That's why it shows only the directly connected neighbor. Now I can check the CLNS on this, CLNS like this. Now it shows R4 MAC address and later. When I see show IP route, there is a default route which has been created through the fast Ethernet 10. Through the fast Ethernet 10, it reaches everywhere. It can go anywhere it wants. By default, all the L1 routers will be created with the default route. That is the default route, star L1. Star means the candidate default. L1 is an L1, something like that. So where we are having that 4, 5, 6, only the things are shown here. Is that 4, 5, 6, only that those addresses are shown here. What about 1, 2, 3? It's not shown. How do we reach 1, 2, 3? Because of using this default route, I can reach the another network itself. When I say ping 2222, it can work. It's working. Let me do the trace. It'll work. 4511, that is a fourth router. 101411, that is a R1. 101212, that is nothing but R2. That's a router. So it goes through that. Because of this default route is existing, I can able to reach across the boundaries also. Show ISIS. Let me give. These are all the outputs which you can see that topology, neighbors, route. Show ISIS route. It's not configuring in OS mode, OSI model. That's why it is not showing that. And you can check the topology. It's showing R4, R5, R6. Because we are in R5, it's not showing the metric on this. So R6, it will be the 20 because it's come to R4, then go. There's a 10 to 20. And level 2 routers, it's not showing. It's R5 is a level 2. It's not an R2, is not a level 2. So we can have some other outputs as well. So configuring that, it's very easier. Let me see IP. With an IP, multicast, topology, unicast. You can see unicast. What else I can see? Topology may not be showing anything. It's the same output is showing. So the routers which are in the back, it's not in the back, but it's like it's in the back, leaf routers or something. They will be having the default route to reach the another, other areas or something. So I configured 2 areas, area 1, 2, 3, and area 4, 5, 6. So these 2 routers are connecting to different areas. I can configure. I can call them as an ABR. These are ABRs. And these are like internal routers, IR, I can say. All are internal routers. So this is so simple. We can have multiple areas as well. I configured only 2 areas. There's a double area I configured. You can have multiple areas can be configured on this. You can see that. Very simple to configure. Addressing pattern need to be understood. And this command has to be given properly. Let me show you this command. What is that? For that, let me go to the R4. Show interface. Pay 0/0. Let's see. Level 2 only. This we need to configure. Then 1/0. You see that level 1. Circuit type is level 1. Circuit type is level 2. We need to configure this along with the IP router ISIS command. So this is how the ISIS protocol will be working on. Okay. So now if you have any questions, you can ask me, and you can give me your email addresses. I will send you this PPT as well as the recording to your email addresses. And you can, as usual, you can inform your friends about my channel. They can subscribe to that. If you don't have any questions, we can go ahead and close this session because I'm lost for 1 hour. I'm just talking on these sessions. Okay, so I'm go ahead and closing this. Okay, Vikram has given that. Okay, nice. Thank you. I'll be sending you this, the meeting recording as well as the slides on SIS. I'll send it to you. Thanks for joining. Thanks for joining all the rounds. Let's meet next week. Yeah, next week. Next week we'll meet with some other newer chapter on this. Thank you very much. Thanks for joining. Bye.